welcome to Exiled Legion's first normal mode Garalon beta kill. He's the third boss in Heart of Fear, I believe. Very easy fight to tank, very easy fight to DPS as long as you understand the mechanics. The healing is a shit show at the beginning, but after you get the hang of it, it is smooth sailing from there, which will lead us into our first ability called Pheromones. This puts a dot on you that ticks for 15k every 2 seconds. Along with every 2 seconds, we'll drop a yellow pool of goo, which you'll need to move out of. The next part of this ability is a debuff that gets put on you called Pungency. This stacks up unlimitedly. It lasts for 75 seconds and is refreshed for every stack you gain. For every stack you gain, you deal 10% more damage to the raid. This debuff is passed on through proximity, so think Balrog. If you run through somebody, this buff will be passed on to the next person, and the range of it is literally that close. The next ability that I'm going to talk about is Furious Swipe. This is a swipe he does in a large frontal cone that reaches about 20 yards back and deals 300k damage to each player standing in it. Now, the reason why this ability is so important is that if 2 people are not standing in this swipe when he casts it, he will gain a buff called Fury, which increases his move speed and his damage dealt by 10% for every stack he has. This buff lasts 30 seconds and will fall off. This next ability is very, very key for all of the DPS. This ability is called Garalon's Legs, and he has 4 of them. For each leg, there is a green circle. These circles are called the weak spots. When you stand in these weak spots, you deal 100% more damage to the leg that you are standing next to. In the center of these 4 green circles, you'll see a big pink one. Now, this big pink one you cannot enter by any means. If you just so happen to fall in it, what he does is cast an ability called Crush. Now, backtracking a little bit, Crush is also casted when you swap pheromones to another player. Crush will knock down every player for 2 seconds and deal 150k damage to all players in the room. If you're inside this pink circle when he crushes everybody, he will deal 800k to you, which practically is an insta-kill. In our strat, we use 3 healers, 1 tank, and 6 DPS. Now, I'm not 100% certain about this next part, but Pheromones is applied to the closest person or the first person to attack the boss when we start the encounter. To take the Furious Swipes, we of course had our tank and a monk DPS. On previous kills, we had myself, the paladin healer, and the tank taking the Furious Swipes, so any combination was really viable, at least in the beta, but it could definitely change come live. Also, in saying that, Furious Swipes from World of Logs look like it was casted every 35 seconds. Now, if you look around the walls, there's the person with the pheromones that is dropping the little yellow pools of goo. With this mechanic, we had 3 people, 2 healers, and a ranged DPS controlling the pheromones. How we dealt with this mechanic was, I ran in, I took pheromones off the tank, and ran back out to the walls. Now, the reason why it's so important that I had run out is that the pheromone pools do deal a lot of damage. They also don't disappear at all. Once I reached 19 stacks of Pungency, I called for our elemental shaman to come take it off of me, and we rotated that between 3 of us. Once you master that mechanic, the fight is pretty much smooth sailing from there. For every 19 stacks, when you want to swap off Pungency, you should let your healers know and prepare so they can top off the raid to get ready for Crush. Do remember that every time you do swap pheromones, Crush does happen, so you want to make sure everybody is above 150k. For the DPS, we started to attack the front left leg and went clockwise from there. We went to the left back leg, right back leg, front right leg. We had generally everybody on the same leg because it really helped with healing. The room is so big that we found that if everybody stood in DPS what they wanted to, we weren't always in range of everybody. Now, in saying this, every time you kill one leg, you reduce his movement speed by 15%, and it deals 3% damage to his body. Now, you just don't kill off these legs. Every time you kill a leg, you can't target it anymore, and he casts Mend on it, which means he pretty much heals up his leg and it'll spawn again soon. To sum up the fight, make sure that you have 3 designated people to deal with pheromones. Make sure that the healers time and manage their cooldowns efficiently when we swap off for pheromones. Make sure you have 2 designated people to be in front of the boss at all times. All DPS, make sure that you're standing in the green circles, DPSing the appropriate leg. Don't ever enter the pink circle. Those are the major mechanics of Garalon. It's a pretty simplistic fight once you get it down. So, just don't be bad. I love you, kitties!